Manchester United currently sit 13th in the Premier League after 24 match days with only 29 points. Could this see Ruben Amorim get sacked already after only 3 months? I mean 4 months. Obviously, Erik ten Hag was not producing anything good at the start of the season, so they decided to let him go. And Ruben Amorim was doing very well at Sporting with 30 points collected out of a possible 30. So he seemed like the obvious candidate for a top side. There was a lot of optimism and hope surrounding Amorim as he came in and was announced as the new United manager on the 1st of November, but his first game wasn't until the 24th of November against Ipswich, but we'll get to that. In his first 11 games, he got 6 defeats, which is the worst start by any Manchester United manager since 1932. In Amorim's first 7 games in charge, these were the results. First, a 1-1 draw against Ipswich, where Omari Hutchinson actually opened the scoring, giving them a 1-0 lead, but United found the way back. Then we go to the Europa League, where they beat Bodo Glimt 3-2. Pretty unimpressive, to be honest. Then they beat Everton, a struggling Everton side 4-0. Pretty easy. This was followed by a 2-0 loss to Arsenal. I think that makes a lot of sense. Then a 3-2 loss to Forest. So 2 losses in a row. Not very good in the Premier League. But then they followed this up with 2 wins. 2-1 wins, actually. The first being against Victoria Pilsen, where the Czech team actually scored first, but United found the way back. And then they beat Manchester City in a game that Man City dominated most of the game, but Diallo is just too good. And this incredible victory over their, City rivals injected hope into a Manchester United side where there hasn't been much excitement for the last, 5 years, maybe since the Mourinho days. Their next game was the Carabao Cup quarter-final, where they faced Tottenham and they lost 4-3, while also conceding a corner in the process. Following this, they had 3 Premier League matches, all of which they lost. Against Bournemouth, Wolves and Newcastle, and yes, they did also concede another corner goal against Wolves, courtesy of Cunha. And this is where the pressure really began to build. But this pressure was kind of, just taken off a bit after they drew with league leaders Liverpool 2-2. And alongside this, they beat Arsenal in the FA Cup third round, 5-3 on penalties, but Kai Havertz, if he was more clinical in front of goal, Arsenal would have won that. And here are their last 6 matches since then. 4 wins out of their last 6 matches is definitely not bad, and maybe something that obviously doesn't really usually bring a sacking. But if you look at the teams that they beat, Fulham, who are, I think, 9th in the Premier League, and then 2 Europa League games that they should have won, no offence to FCSB, you guys have great fans, literally for Rodiak. But when they play teams that are even mid-table, like Brighton and Crystal Palace, they completely crumble. Yesterday, at the time of recording, they played the FA Cup 4th round against Leicester City, and they barely snuck through. I'm sorry. They relied on Harry Maguire to score in the 93rd minute. And now also that goal is pretty much controversial, whether that was an offside or not. I'm probably going to say that it was an offside, but I don't know, I haven't really looked into it properly. What has brought about this not great form? Well, most critics are looking at the defence, where Amorim does employ a 3-4-3 formation. He used that at Sporting. His tactics have always they've been concentrated on having 3 centre-backs, which that's a very modern tactic, obviously. We're not in the 4-2 era anymore. If we look at yesterday's game, Mazraoui had to play at centre-back, and I don't know if you know much about him, but he's not really suited to that kind of position. New signing Dorgo as well did feature because, Amorim is kind of trying out anything possible, and Dorgo just didn't play in a position that he's really comfortable in. He couldn't really perform in. Same with Kobe Mainu. He was playing as basically a left winger yesterday. What is going on there? I know his tactics always relied on a 3-back, but these players are not suited to a 3-back, and forcing them to play one is probably a big reason for why they're struggling this season. Do you think they need to sack Amorim?